were, because to be honest with you, a lot of the resources that most people were studying turned out to not be very good. So I ended up taking the test. I scored extremely well on it. I almost had a perfect score. And my study partners that I was studying with told a bunch of other people about my score. And all of a sudden, I started getting hit up by a bunch of people who wanted me to tell them how I scored so well on the test. So the first few people I went ahead, I told them everything I knew for free. But it got to the point where there were so many people asking for my time that I started charging money. And at first I wasn't charging all that much money at all, $30 an hour, something like that. But then as more and more people asked me, I started charging more and more money. And eventually it got to the point where I was charging over $100 an hour. I believe the best that it ever got was about $180 an hour I was making. And all of this was because I scored really well on a super random niche test. Now, how does this apply to you? Well, if you have taken a test like the ACT, SAT, and you've scored well, this could be really good for you. But how about AP tests or IB tests in high school, right? So let's say you took the AP chemistry test or something like that, and you scored really well on it. That's something you could tutor people for. Or let's say you got into a college that a bunch of people want to get into. That's another thing you could tutor people for. Or let's say you're taking the MCAT or the LSAT because you want to get into medical school or law school. That's also something you could tutor people for. And also, if you're good at a subject that most people aren't good at, like mathematics or organic chemistry, again, that's something you could charge a lot of money for. And let's say you're not good at any of that stuff. At the very least, you can tutor people in English, because I assume that you are listening to this, you can understand English, and you can get paid pretty good money for that as well. So yeah, tutoring is a phenomenal way to make money in college, maybe the best possible way. You can make money right off the bat doing this. This gets a 10 out of 10 money score. Next on the list is going to be an online influencer. And this is one that I see around on YouTube quite a bit, of course. And of course, this is something where I started it myself. The first video that I ever uploaded to YouTube was all the way back in like 2010. And I played this game called RuneScape. Now, a lot of people might know RuneScape. I was really into it for many years. I probably wasted a lot of time on it, but there's also a lot of good memories I had there. But yeah, I would PK people on RuneScape, which is basically where you fight other people. And then I would upload those videos to YouTube. Now, I never planned on becoming like a famous YouTuber or anything like that. I basically just did it for fun and to be able to show my friends some of my best PKs. And I didn't start making any real money on YouTube until about 2020, right? So this is something that I did for a hobby. I also watched like thousands of hours of YouTube. And then eventually I started doing it myself and I ended up making money from it. Now, one thing that I will say is there has never been an easier time to become an online influencer. It is much easier now than it was 5 years ago, for instance. And there's also never been an easier time to actually make money as an online influencer. Most of the time, in like 2015, for instance, people who uploaded videos, even the ones who were extremely popular, were not making enough money to actually quit their job and do it full time. But now it's actually quite easy for you to do this comparatively. But with that being said, this is not something that you can do very easily. But there are going to be some people watching this video that are in a position where they would be able to grow relatively fast. And let me tell you who those types of people would be. So I've seen a lot of people who, for instance, go to Ivy League universities, leverage the fact that they got into an Ivy League university to grow their channels extremely quickly. So for instance, let's say you're watching this and you're going to Yale, Harvard, Princeton, etc. You can go out and interview people from Harvard and upload those videos on YouTube, do some pretty good editing, and there's a very good chance your video is going to get a lot of views. Another thing you can do is talk about how you were able to get into an Ivy League or prestigious university. You can also do like a day in the life of a Harvard student or something along those lines. Same thing goes if you're a medical student or a law student at a prestigious university.